For the people that are in the audience right now, really, Charlie, hello, hello. I'm so happy to see you here. Now, also, if you are listening to this show in replay, you can fast forward past this spot and get right into the show, which will be pretty cool. But if you're new to Fireside and you're not familiar with how everything works, and when you are in the show live, there's a couple of things you can do. There's a react button and there's emojis across the bottom. And you can choose any one of those emojis, which is the clap or the laughs, emoji or the party sound, and hit those anytime you wish, and we can hear it and we'll react to it. Also, there's things you can do. You can send a comment or a question by hitting the react button, choose an emoji, and send your comment or question, and we will read it right on the show live. You can also do the same thing by hitting the Q&A button. So again, the show will start in just a moment or two, and I'll be here on video live. See you in a moment. Well, hello to poetic people fighting racism. Welcome. This is your host, Anthony Cordova Tony C, the man about love. I'm also the co-host of I'm Right, where I have the privilege to be in a show with my beautiful, with my intelligent, with my incredibly gifted wife, Jill Cox Cordova, right here on Fireside. Here at Double PFR, we discuss racism and the caste system in the United States of America through poetry, through art, through music, using the voices of our souls, using the strength of our ancestors to heal the fractured country we live in and die in. Here at Double PFR, all souls are welcome, all people are welcome. Welcome to discuss the racism we live in. Come on in. We'll put our arms around you, providing a safe place for you, a home to protect you, a place where you're surrounded by hope, where you're surrounded by compassion, where you're surrounded by empathy, forgiveness, and love. Surrounded by love, surrounded by so much love. And I love for you to come in with me, to stand by me, to see what we can do to change this country, to change the people that live in this country. I welcome you to Double PFR with love, with so much love. Double PFR. Wow. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to Season 2. Episode 6, Anywhere, Anyplace, Anytime. That's what we're getting into tonight. So first of all, I want to say welcome, really, Charlie, and welcome, Michael. These are our Massachusetts people. We love them too, way up on the East Coast while we're down here in Georgia. So welcome. Always happy to see both of your faces. Tonight's going to be special because we have a special guest, and her name is Aaliyah Naomi McConnell. And she's a young woman that's just incredible. And I'll be telling you more about her in just a moment. So, as usual, I do want to thank everyone that comes to this show, even when you don't come to this show, even when you're watching this in replay. Thank you for coming because I know you don't have to listen to this show. You can be doing other things with your time, and the topics that I discuss are really rough topics. So, I'm happy that you're here in the audience live. I'm also happy when you listen to the replay because that is actually your part of being an everyday activist. And I also want to thank Fireside Chat, for providing this platform for me, and not only me, but all of the other creators that are here on this platform. Fireside really does support us. All right, so now we're going to get to our special guest tonight. She is a young woman that is just incredible. She is a recent graduate of KSU University, which is Kennesaw State University, right here in Georgia, in Metro Atlanta. Let me tell you a little bit about her. One, she is a freelance writer, and she's a fantastic writer. She's also a podcast producer and a mental health advocate. And we've talked about that before on this show. And it's really important work. So I really commend her for doing that. So, as I told you, she's a graduate of Kennesaw State University. She had a major in journalism and emerging media. She also has a minor in African diaspora studies. I got it out. I said it right. Woohoo! Good for me. She also has, and I'm looking to see if it's going to be in the fortune cookie here, but she also has a blog and a newsletter that's called Little Mental Sky. Woohoo! My mind is in the sky. Yeah, that's what my mother used to say. My mother used to say, Tony, your head's always in the sky. Your mind's in the sky. So she focuses on mental health, especially when it has to deal with Black women and women of color. So that's all good work. So Jill, I would love it if we can see Aaliyah bring her beautiful face so we can see who we have tonight and what she is doing. And there she is. Welcome,
Hey.
welcome, welcome, Aaliyah. And this is amazing because the one thing I didn't tell the audience is what you're doing tonight. So I'll let you introduce yourself and tell the audience what you are doing this evening.
Okay. Hey, fam. Thank you for
Hey,
the introduction, Tony. Thank
you're
you, thank you,
welcome.
thank you. So yes, I'm Aaliyah, and today I'm gonna be doing a live painting while we discuss the topics of racism, and other Black matters, and of course Tony's gonna read some poetry today. But while he's doing that, I'm gonna be just doing my art thing. I'm gonna be on my Bob Ross, and
Getting your
I mean,
Bob Ross down.
getting
All
my Bob
right.
Ross off. I might not finish today, but at least y'all can see the process, and then we can discuss it, as the show progresses. So I'm looking
Okay.
forward to have a really good and creative night with y'all tonight.
Oh, cool. Us
Yes,
too. I
yes,
mean, I
yes.
feel like honored, because often I tell people, look, this show isn't just about because I do a lot of poems on the things that have been done to us in this country, but I try to tell people you can express yourself any way you wish. It doesn't have to be poetry. It could be art. It could be painting. It could be music, whichever means a person decides. But now, correct me if I'm wrong, but you are also a poet, aren't you?
I am.
I am. Yeah, yeah.
I am. Haven't written anything lately, but um, I would say that I am a poet at heart. I'm an artist at heart, really. So whatever
Hmm.
medium that I express myself in at that moment, uh, it's just the form that it's meant to be in. And sometimes that's through poetry, sometimes that's through visual arts, and sometimes it's through audio, like music or storytelling that way.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
is so cool. Expressing yourself. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. All right. So, are you ready to start painting?
I'm
And
ready.
tell us, and please tell us what's going on,
Okay.
because a lot of us, we see the finished products of an artist. We see the painting when it's done, when it's finished. It's very rare that we get to see an artist creating work in front of our eyes. So can you tell us a little bit about the process and how
Yeah.
you got to the point you are now? Because I see it's partially done right now. So can you tell us how you accomplished that?
Yes. So the reason why I wanted to, I'll start with this. The reason why I wanted to do a painting is because as an artist, you don't really work with other people, and I'm really precious about my art and my artistic process. I don't really open that up to people, so this was my way of sharing that part of myself with other people.
Thank you.
Um,
I mean, for
yes, yes.
real. Thank you.
Because you have people who they critique your art while it's still in the process, and if
Oh
you
yeah.
do art, that's like a pet peeve. But
Right.
it's fine because y'all are in the audience, so it's fine. But the reason I wanted to do this is because, like Tony says, you only see the finished product, and art is not just the finished product. Of course, you can, gain your own interpretations from it, and see what you want to see from it, but you rarely do you get the chance to actually see the actual process. And for people who do art, that's really where it comes down to your technical skill, like down to the brushes that you use, the shape of the brush head, um, the type of medium that you're using. Uh, um, is it a loose medium? Is it more of uh, like a pencil, like a hard medium? So,
Mhm.
and all of that, I think, goes into what the art means. So I'm using watercolors, and just because water represents so much in our culture, it can represent healing. It also, if you're looking back in the past, it represents trauma for us.
Mhm.
So I'm doing that. I'm using watercolors, and the reason why I chose these three figures, you probably can't tell right now, but I have Maya Angelou here.
Ooh,
There's James
yes.
Baldwin, and then right here in the very back, I have uh, Toni Morrison. So all of these
All right.
authors are writers who have, they've been very influential in the culture, in the world, really, but they've all passed on.
Mhm.
And why I chosen these three is or the concept came from, of course, what's happening in our current society. So we have people trying to ban works of art from writers like these, from our ancestors, from
Mhm.
uh, Black radical uh, thought leaders, and I kind of wanted to do this in memoriam for them.
Mhm.
Um, but the meaning behind it is that if we allow this to continue and go on, that they could be erased. Um,
Absolutely.
So the background, I went with some fiery colors to represent, fire.
Mhm.
A lot of times when there is a dictatorship or some harsh regime, their first thing is to get rid of all the knowledge. One of the ways of doing that is to burn books. Like that's
Mm-hmm.
a historical thing where they do book burnings. So this represents the fire behind them. I went black and white on the figures themselves, just because they have passed on, they've moved on, and to represent that absence of value. If you take away works by Black people and you erase Black history from textbooks and you erase Black writers from the library, and critical race theory. If you ban that, then it's like you're banning us and banning knowledge of who we are. So that's why there's this dual tone where I have the grayscale against the colored background, which
Cool.
represents fire. But
Oh,
yeah,
that
that's
is
basically the background of it.
that is so cool. And I want to recognize some of the people in the audience. Someone that just popped in, which is Tammy. She is also one of my favorite people. She's also, like you, a young,
Mm-hmm.
strong, intelligent Black woman, and I just love Black women. Period. Did my producer say something to me? Did you? Oh, okay. I thought I heard you say something. Okay. Well, yeah. So we have Tammy, and we have still really Charlie and Michael. So thank you for being here again. So while Leah is painting, do you want me to do this poem now, or while you're doing that, or what would make you most comfortable?
Mm,
Hmm.
you can go ahead and do your poem. I'll be doing my thing. It's
Okay.
look.
Okay. You do your thing, and we all will do our thing here, and we'll be
Okay.
watching you the whole
Okay.
time. And then after the poem, I do what I do, and then we'll come back to you.
All right. All right.
All right, cool, cool, excellent. Hey, everyone, please give Leah a round of applause again. Please hit that applause for her, so she knows. Yeah, ow!
You're
All right.
welcome.
Well, tonight is a small audience, but it's like it has all my favorite people in it. Um, People that I know that are really special for whatever it is they do. Each one of them has some type of special gift that they bring to the world. And I just want to recognize all of you in the audience tonight for being here and supporting me and supporting us because we're all human beings and we need to support each other. So thank you, Charlie. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Tammy. Thank you so much. I really mean it. And I love you all.
I
So,
did. I do have something to say now. I think they're the perfect audience for the reasons you just said.
yes, Jill, you have to get your
Oh,
mic.
sorry. I think
Jill, hey,
I'm just
check this
sitting
out.
back.
Jill is
I'm just
hanging
leaning
back
back.
in the studio like she's
Like,
lounging
yep.
on the veranda or
Like I'm in the
something.
audience and not the
Can
producer.
you move your mic closer to you? Just swing it over. That's it. That should be,
Hello, hello,
yes,
hello.
much better.
Okay, so I just
Thank
I
you.
just wanted to tell everyone I do think this is the perfect audience for all the reasons that you mentioned.
Cool. All right. Well, thank you so much, Jill. Okay. Well, tonight, after all the nice stuff Aaliyah has just said, I'm going to do a poem called They Kill Us. Okay. And I believe I did this poem once in season one, but I'm doing it again, and I added a stanza to it into the middle of it, which I just wrote that stanza. So we're going to bring this in and we're going to do it, and then hopefully we'll discuss it. Let's see. Um, yeah, it's an elaborate system. The blue and white eyes created, wherein we are outcasts, cast out, kept out, and stomped on. We are under white feet and we can't breathe with killer knees and chokeholds and ropes that snap our necks. We are just less than just living and dying for the melanin in our skin, for the darkness of our skin. They kill us in the streets under police knees as we plead to our departed mothers. They kill us in our homes, asleep in our warm, comfy beds. They send us to our ancestors in heavenly graves before we lived our childhood dreams. They kill us like rabid dogs when we're out for a run, killed by blue and white eyes with guns. They kill us while walking to the store or standing in our own home's doors in a confused state of mind, wandering lost in our minds, in fragile state of mind, in fragile mental health. Just needing a little help in our fragile mental state of mind. But the blue and white eyes in their confused state of mind kill us. And they kill us, and they kill us by killing our minds. By killing our minds and our children's minds, by banning books of Black history, our history, banning books of America's ugly racist history, by banning books that tell the truth of enslaving our ancestors, of the killing of our ancestors for learning to read and learning to write. The racist minds and times of the country we live in kill us. Seeing the melanin in our skin, the darkness of our skin, the color of our skin, and the clothes and the stripes a prisoner wears as the same. The same as the burlap sacks our ancestors wore as slaves. They kill us like we escaped the plantation, like we're runaway slaves, like we escaped from San Quentin, like we killed their mothers and grandmothers and daughters and sons. They will never be done with us. They will never stop killing us. For the melanin in our skin, the darkness of our skin, just living and dying in America's caste system, just less than just living and dying for the color of our skin. For as long as we shall live, they will never be done with us. For as long as they live, they will never stop killing us. Never, never, never stop killing us. All right, that's it. That is done. They kill us. They sure do. Oh, man, and I'm not laughing, but they do. They will always find a way to kill us, no matter what happens. No matter how the laws change, and the more the laws change in our favor is when they find new ways to kill us. It's a fact. This is what happens to us. You know, it's a shame for as long as all of us has lived in this country, no matter what your age in the audience, it's a shame that we all still have to watch our backs. Every time we go out the door, we have to watch our backs. Every time we drive our cars, we have to watch our backs. Every time we go into a store, we have to watch our backs. We don't live in the same America that other people may live in. Anyone that is of any color, of any different race, lives a different life in this country. Jill, did we have any comments? I thought I saw a comment.
Earlier, really Charlie wrote, like Queen of the Nile.
All right. All right.
And I have a
That,
comment.
okay. I
Um,
got you.
so I was thinking, since we were able to watch Aaliyah and we heard her comments about banning books, and then in your poem, that was mentioned quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Um, to see the two of you at the, side by side, at least that's my view of it right now.
Okay.
You two need to take this show on the
Take
road.
it on the road.
Yes, absolutely.
Take it on the road.
I'll figure out how to play the music to go with it. We could take this show on the road.
That would
I am
be
bringing
cool.
Really Charlie to the stage.
Wonderful.
And he's there.
Hello, Really Charlie, my friend. How are you?
What's going on? It's interesting they have shows like this because I met with two authors today trying to get them through the process of writing their first book. So,
Oh, cool.
and we mentioned, let me get out of the room here so I won't have any background. We mentioned about um, how I was with an artist and I was reciting a poem and he was drawing in the background,
Oh,
trying to define what he was visualizing what my poem was saying.
oh, that's really cool.
And then what happened today is that I mentioned that conversation to the authors that I was talking to, and they were talking about pretty much the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's weird how God makes things happen. It puts it. We were just putting it out there, and what they, how they have art and wine, or like a wine.
Mm-hmm.
So sipping wine, and then you do some painting. Well, that all came in a conversation today,
Okay.
and now here it is, the third time today. I have another poet, another artist doing the same thing. So it's amazing.
Hey,
Amazing.
talk about receiving a message,
Hmm.
right? I mean, this is incredible. I'm really happy that you brought that up, because some of the things we need to do as people is pay attention,
Yes.
pay attention. And I think, does my producer have something to add?
Yes, Charlie, you're invited to go to be part of the show that goes on the road too.
We taking a show on the road. That's right.
I'll produce it. We'll be good.
That's right.
Yeah,
I love it.
that will be cool. But I know, Charlie, how passionate you are about books
Hmm.
and writing and reading and all of it. Um, so when we start talking about uh, censorship
Yes.
of our history through literature, how does that make you feel?
It's 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 real disturbing, especially when I started thinking about reading and writing late in the latter part of my life,
Hmm.
and and now I'm enjoying it, and here it is now. They're trying to put some restrictions on it. Well, actually, they did. So um, that's disturbing because I know I'm not the only person out there that started getting a strong interest in reading and writing. Um, and and now here it is. the last quarter of my life, that they're trying to restrict these things, and it's especially when it's focused on my culture, and I'm more of a sponge now, believe it or not, than ever in my life.
I can
So,
believe that. I can believe that. But you do an excellent job of bringing history of our people, and especially things that we had no idea of knowing. So most of the stories you did during Black History Month, the short ones you did that were like 15 minutes or so.
yes.
Um, in most cases, I knew none of it.
Mm,
None of it. I didn't know about the judge. I didn't know. I One thing I learned from you that I had no idea of was that if uh, uh, an African American slave went to work on a ship, it made him free. It gave him his
yes.
freedom. I had
Hmm.
no idea, never heard that before in my life.
Yeah.
Now,
You
I'm
could.
sure that was a very small number
Yeah.
of people that got their freedom that way, but still just amazing, and of all the history that was just in your town
Hmm.
in New Bedford, Massachusetts. Never knew, never
Yes.
knew. And that's the thing. It is more important right now that we speak about our history, that we speak about what we've been through, what we go through, and what the future's going to look like if we keep allowing them to do what they do to us. If they keep passing laws that African American history cannot be taught in a school.
Hmm.
To literally say, we don't want any books that would make our children feel bad.
Yes.
Really?
Yeah.
Really? What about the
Hmm.
books that make us feel bad?
True.
What about
True.
that? Huh? I mean, really? Come on. That's a double
Yeah.
standard.
Yes, it is.
But it's always been in this a double standard. I have a thing in another poem, and it says, "The American dream may not be what it seems."
Mm.
See, because the American dream that America sells everyone on, and people coming from other countries, this American dream, and everyone that comes from other countries, if they're people of color, they realize really, really quickly the American dream they were selling us is only for a certain segment of people.
Yeah.
Now, they can still make a better life for themselves here, but they are still faced with discrimination
Hmm.
and racism, uh, which is unfortunate. So it's not a real American dream. A real American dream would be a dream that we there's no racism against us. There's no prejudice against us. Then we can establish an American dream when we get hired for a job and we're getting paid the same as our white counterpart. There's an
True.
American dream when we can move to any neighborhood we want to move to, and we don't have to be worried about our neighbors burning a cross on our lawn or doing things to destroy our home or our cars or this. That's an American dream For me, I can move anywhere. I can do anything that anybody else can do. That's an American dream.
Hmm.
But some of us don't get to live that dream. We get to live a partial dream, just a part of it, but not 100% of it. And
I feel you.
only because of the color of our skin. No other reason. You were going to say?
I I live the American dream every
For a
day
minute?
now.
For a minute?
Yeah, it comes and goes, right?
Yeah.
And the amazing thing is now that I'm a bunch of little people, right?
Mm-hmm.
I see the reality of the American dream within those those little people around me, in the school,
Mm-hmm.
and they do not see any racism. It's amazing, and I
Really?
just and I see it. I mean, you have kids in our schools or the school that I'm in. They go as far as Brazil,
Mm-hmm.
all the way up to Canada, that are all within this one school, different races, and they are just doing amazing things, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, I only been there a week, but I've been in and out of there throughout, the past 10 years, doing
Mm-hmm.
different things. But to be within the school and seeing so many things, I mean, I see six teachers from Spain, right?
Mm-hmm.
I see uh, 10 to 20 different teachers that are Caucasian.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's many more than that, but I'm just saying within a certain area of the school. Um, just a little bit small amount of males teachers in the school.
Okay.
I'm actually now number 8, but I want to focus on the classroom. The kids are amazing. They don't see anything. They don't see it. I mean, you don't see anything. You don't hear, the N word. You don't hear anything negative.
And
Other
why?
than
Go ahead.
good.
Why
Um,
do you think that is?
because they're pure. They're there for to learn. And it starts from home and in the school to teach those things. No one's teaching them anything.
There you go. Not
Uh,
only that, I'm sure you'll find that many of these kids grow up in the same neighborhood, same district. So the classroom is a good view of what the district looks like.
yeah,
So
and
growing up amongst all different types of people, you learn each other's cultures, you get to know each other just to know them as another person, another kid in your case, and just another kid you can play with. Because kids,
hmm
that's all they hear. I want to play. That's it. I want
true.
somebody to play with, and they're good. They're good with that. Um, there is one thing I miss about uh, living in New York, which is now my neighborhood. The one I grew up in was black, my neighborhood. Wait, hold on a
hmm
second. I think my producer's trying to say something. Are you?
I'm sorry.
You telling me to watch the time? I don't know what she's doing. She's pointing at a phone and just tell me.
She's always
Oh
she's
yeah,
always
don't.
right.
What
You
do you?
better listen to her.
She's right. She's gonna write a note. Okay. Anyway, um,
All right.
getting back to me living in New York. So when I was really young in elementary school, my my elementary school was made of black, white, Italian,
Hmm.
Greek, all different types of people in elementary school, and we never had a problem with each other.
No.
Now, as things started changing, as when I got to middle school, the school was predominantly black, and high school was the same way. But if I was away from high school, from not in school, there was uh, I had a lot of different types of friends of all different kind of nationalities, and we were good.
Yeah.
So I do miss that. I miss learning about different cultures, that are around me all the time. And I think we need more of that
True.
for sure. So let's check on Aaliyah.
All right.
How's it
I'll be.
going over there? You still making art?
Still making art. Yes.
Okay.
Um, and while you were reading your poem and having that discussion, it really uh it almost brought a tear to my eye, but that's not what I want to say. What I want to say is uh the reason why I also wanted to do this painting is because if the knowledge was not passed down to me, I probably wouldn't be the person I am today.
Mm-hmm.
And my history was passed down to me through my grandmother. So I grew up in California. I'm not a Georgia native, so being in California, I wasn't around a big population of Black folks. The only Black people I knew was my family.
Mm-hmm.
So uh, then I would have in that environment I would have been more susceptible to kind of being like, well, why should I see race? Why should that be an issue?
Mm-hmm.
But because I had my grandmother in my life and she had these values in uh Afrocentrism and Black pride was such a she was such an example of that I got that history.
Mm-hmm.
And really, my whole family, they're really into it. We all had that history. And whenever we would get together, we would talk about our history together.
Mm-hmm.
So, yes, I would say that my grandmother instilled my love of Black people, my love of Black culture in me from a young child. Uh, so it always stuck with me. Um, and I was going to say, when you were talking about some books being a double standard, I worked at a bookstore for about 3 years. And it was a used bookstore,
Mm-hmm.
and we would buy books from the public. So that was kind of the cool thing about it is like whatever was on the shelf, it came from somebody else. It was once
Mm-hmm.
loved by somebody else. We had this book come in one day. It was an older book, and it was called like The Gollywogs or something like that. And it had the stereotypical racist caricatures of Black people back then. And one was like their one character's name was the N word.
Oh.
And they were like going around uh, sleeping in people's houses while they were away, and then the good old white man had to come in and say, "Hey, y'all better stop that." But the I found that book because it had been purchased by one of my coworkers, and she put it up on a display, like in a glass case on display, and it was like right there in your face. And I brought it to the attention of my manager, and I asked her, "Hey, like this is pretty offensive. I don't know about this book." Her argument was, "Well, if we start censoring books, then we'll have to censor everything. And Mark Twain uses the N word in his writing. What about that?" And I'm like, I mean, that's different, and that's not the point. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they ended up taking it off of the display, but they said we're still gonna sell it. We're still gonna, put it on the shelf and sell it. But we can't just, we can't throw it out. And it was really handled in a dismissive kind of way. Um,
Yes.
and that wasn't the only time that happened. It was in the East Cobb area. So you can tell a lot
Oh,
from people and the population by the kind of information that they consume. And being in that environment for 3 years tells me
mm-hmm.
that there are still people that still have those same views.
Oh,
That book,
absolutely.
I looked it up, and it's a classic. I read reviews, people saying I read this to my kids, and I'm like, oh my goodness, people are
Mm-hmm.
using this as story time.
Yep.
So back to the issue at hand with banning CRT and trying to censor Black history so that way everyone feels comfortable with it. Is very hypocritical because you definitely have books
Absolutely.
that tell a different story, and they do it in a derogatory and very unfactual way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. You have a very good point. Now, also, I think a book like that, just like you're bringing it to our attention now, needs to be brought to everyone's attention by telling them, hey, this is what you think of us. This is wrong. You know, this is what you think of. This is wrong. If you read this, it's wrong. And I think my producer has something to say.
Oh, I have so much to say.
Because you are the book lady.
First of all, Charlie says if this painting ever comes up for sale, he would love to purchase it. I'll let you tell him who's getting this painting. Um, but also, Aaliyah, you bring up excellent points. Number one, oral history is a staple of Black heritage and Black culture. And that's why I'm always confused that people want to, erase it from the books. I guess they're just trying to make it harder for people to know. But when you tell stories and they're handed down orally, they're still being told, and their friend, people I know when I was a child, when my mother told me stories or my grandmother, or I read them because my mom had plenty of Black history books in the house, and I liked her books more than my books as a child. Then you tell your friends who aren't Black, so oral history is still there and we still do it. And I hope that no one stops that. Secondly, the issue you had with a bookstore, I certainly can relate to that because I once worked in a bookstore as well. That's where Tony and I met.
We sure did. We was making out in between books.
No, we were not. We
in
were
between
not.
bookshelves. Yes, he was. I said, "Come here, baby."
No, we were not. But I always volunteered to do those displays, and so I made points. I made a point to put books that, there might just be one copy in the whole bookstore of it. And it's written by, a BIPOC author or has a message that I felt that everyone should know. So I would take that one book and make sure that people saw it. Or even mention it as when I was trying to upsell people on what they were purchasing. So I was always about that. And I remember one time I lived in Charlotte. Well, I lived in Charlotte twice, but the first time I lived there, I was really excited to learn that there was a book club. Well, I'm sorry, not a book club, a writing club that was all women. So, I contacted them. They're like, "Oh, sure, you're welcome to come. Everything's great." And I show up, and just like in regular writing groups, they shared they read aloud what they were writing, and people in the group gave them feedback. And I was horrified that out of probably 20 people, every single story that they read had the N-word in it.
Mm.
And they, I do not have a poker face, nor was I trying to hide what I was thinking. So they would say, but that's the way people spoke at that time. And I said, well, when's the last time you used the word? And then there was silence.
Yesterday, this morning.
So I wondered, because part of me was like, well, I'm never coming back to this group. But then I wondered if my saying something, just like you did when you were working in the bookstore, mattered. So I showed up at the next meeting, much to their dismay. And, I didn't have printed copies of what they were reading, but I did notice one by one, when, clearly the word was still in their work, but they were not going to read it aloud in front of me. So the word was not said in the meetings I was in. So I definitely can relate to what you're saying. And Charlie says, "What the what?" And also listening to a CD too. LOL. So anyway, I definitely understand, but I do think it takes people like all of us who are here tonight to be that everyday activist and tell people, hey, that's not okay. Because in the case of the writers group, they were all of a particular age, like they were all probably 70s or older, whereas I was in my 20s at the time. And, they claimed they didn't know, and maybe they didn't, but I'm all about educating people.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Yes, you sure are. Thank you for that, Jill.
Sure.
I see we have Denise in the audience. Welcome. We're very happy to see you here, and we will be seeing you soon. Can't wait. Going to New Orleans next month. Oh, actually,
Charlie says the CD that Tony purchased at Jill's job.
I purchased many CDs at Jill's job. Thank you very much. In between us making out in the book aisles.
You need to stop telling people that. That is not true.
Prove it.
Okay, you want me to line? I know how to book people. I'll line up every single person I ever worked with there.
Prove it. They didn't see it because we were sneaky. We were sneaky. Yes, we were. But yeah, hello, Laura. Hello, Laura. It's so happy to see you here tonight. So happy to see you. So, I want to bring up something, and we don't have much time left, but I have a mini bar, or we have a mini bar in our kitchen. And I don't know if any of you, well, I know some of the older people are definitely familiar with something that they used to call it Black Sambo. Does anybody remember that? Just give me a thumbs up or something about the Black Sambos. So it was a caricature. I'll get it out. I'm tongue tied. But anyway. But they used to draw these pictures of black people with, black skin and big white and red lips, and they just looked all crazy. Sometimes they put a bone in their hair, for a bow and all of that. And it was really derogatory. Now, on my bar, I have 2 salt and pepper shakers. They're about this big. They're real small. And they belong to my mother. And I believe Salt is a female Black Sambo made out of wood. And they're really old. And the pepper is a male Black Sambo made out of wood. Looks just like, the salt, but it's a male. So there was a time in this country that stuff like that was normal. You can go into any store, any gas station and you can buy one of these little black Sambos as a novelty. Now, the question is, why do I have that on my bar? I mean, these things are really small. They're about an inch tall. I've had them sitting on my bar probably since my mother passed away, which was, I don't know, almost 15 years ago now. And with all the people that have come to our house to visit, with all the people that have looked at the pictures that are up at the bar, not once has anyone commented or asked about those two little salt and pepper shakers. And I wonder why not. I wonder if they're afraid to ask about it. I wonder if they don't know the significance of these little salt and pepper shakers. But I leave them there to start a conversation. And so far, with all the people that have been to our house, and we've had hundreds, we used to have these big cookouts and all, we've had hundreds and hundreds of people at our house, and no one, not once, has ever asked, why is that? Do you have any suggestions on why that is, Jill?
I have thoughts about it, but I'll read Charlie's.
And Billy D's just stepped in the audience. Hello, Billy D's.
Hello. Charlie wrote, I remember when you were asking if anyone remembered the Black Sambos. And then he says, keep them. The history is not known.
Huh. Well, that's interesting. That's interesting. Billy D's, you don't have to come to stage if you want. You just came in, but I was talking about little salt and pepper shakers I have that my mother used to own, and she has since passed away. But I've had them on my mini bar for probably 15 years. And with all the guests we've had to my house, no one has ever asked about these little black Sambo salt and pepper shakers. And I leave them there just for a reminder. I leave them there to start a conversation with someone. I was just curious, and you can do by a thumbs up on, do you remember when they used to sell these little black Sambos and salt and pepper shaker? Denise says yes. Really, Charlie says yes. These little salt and pepper shakers, or anything. It could be just about anything.
Charlie says there was also a Black Sambo book. I'm bringing Billy D's to the stage.
I love Billy D's. We haven't talked in a while.
And Denise says she knew it was from your mother, and it's part of history, which we should not forget.
Yes. Cool. Great.
All right, Billy D's is on the stage.
Billy D's, my buddy, how are you? Long time no talk to.
Yeah, it's been a little while. Thank you.
You remember me, yeah, Tony Anthony, that guy.
Absolutely. You're hard to forget. In regard to your question, I'm not sure I ever recall having those around and knowing what those are. I mean, I don't doubt that they exist. I know things like that have existed, but I personally have never had those anywhere around. So I'm not sure about those.
Oh, okay, that's interesting, man. You grew up in Ohio? Maybe?
Yeah, Northeast Ohio. Mm-hmm.
Well, it's good that you don't remember seeing any of those. That's a good sign.
Yeah.
But growing up in New York, we saw them everywhere. Much like a black lawn jockey, type of thing. Now, did you see any of those in Ohio?
I don't recall for sure where I've noticed those. I have seen those. Now, I don't know how true this is. I've had people tell me that those were originally signs of people who are participating in the Underground Railroad. And the perception of those has turned into something negative. Now, I don't know if that's true or not. I've had people tell me that. Now, I personally wouldn't have one, but that's neither here nor there. But I here again in Ohio, I don't know that that there was much of that. And that's just not something that I'm not saying that we didn't have issues here, but those types of I'm not sure what the word is, artwork or those types of depictions weren't something that you noticed a whole lot. And I don't remember a whole lot of them growing up.
Okay. Well, check this out, and this is the truth. I can go to a particular truck stop in South Georgia today and go purchase one. They're on the shelf every day. Now, some years back, most establishments stopped selling them. But they still sell them. And the people that own this particular truck stop are East Indian. So maybe they don't know the history. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe when they bought this gas station / truck stop, maybe it was merchandise was already in there, and they're just selling stuff. I don't know. But it still happens in this country. So yeah. So thank you so much for coming to the stage, and I'm waiting for your next show. I was actually going to watch the last show you did today, and just got caught up with a whole bunch of stuff.
It wasn't my best performance anyway. It was.
Oh, don't say that. I don't believe that.
I don't believe that either.
I don't believe that. But if you didn't see, we have Aaliyah doing a painting, and we're right at the top of the hour, so we're going to end this show in the moment. So
it looks fantastic.
Yeah, she's a fantastic artist. So we're going to get back into her before the end of the show, and thank you so much for coming up, Billy D's.
And Denise also says there's still many there in New Orleans too.
In New Orleans, yeah.
Black Sambos.
Yeah. I believe that. I remember as a child, we had a children's book that was like that. And my sister probably remembers what the name of it was, but it talked about, and it was a book for children, and it talked about Black Sambos and what was it? Pickaninnies. Yeah, that was another thing they had for us. So anyway, I'm at least glad that we don't have to look at that every day anymore. So let's here we got Really Charlie back. Hello, Really Charlie.
2 seconds. There's something similar to the Dutch and Christmas and Santa Claus.
I know that one.
Similar. Yes. So that's another story. And I send you a picture on your phone about the Little Black Sambo book, children's book.
Yep.
I send it to Jill too on LinkedIn, but I just wanted you to know that book was out there, and that's it.
Yeah, thank you. And I can't remember what they called it. It was supposed to be Santa's helper, but they called him what was his name?
I can't remember.
Well, anyway, yeah.
Yeah.
I know that story, but they stopped doing that within the last few years. They don't do that anymore, which is good because they didn't know. That's what they all said. They didn't know because different culture. So,
and Denise also replied that just like Charlie said, it was called Little Sambo.
Little Sambo. Okay.
The other book.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you. So we have such knowledgeable people in our audience. This is wonderful. So Aaliyah, show us what we have. What do we have? Your wonderful art.
Right. So I'm just still working on it. James Baldwin's piece. Now, the thing about watercolors is you have to do it layer by layer by layer. And
I didn't know that.
That's what I like about the process, because it it tells a story. Just like our history, there's layers to it.
Mm-hmm.
Just like there's layers to a book, there's layers to every story. Um, and I will sit here and painfully go through and build up on each layer to build value in it. Um, just because it has more meaning that way and more intention in it and more energy put into the work that way.
Mm-hmm.
Um, now, I like listening to the conversation. Now, I know that Santa Claus's helper, that's called Black Peter, and I'm glad they don't do that
Black
anymore,
Peter.
because
Okay.
because I knew about it, so I'm glad that they stopped that. There's another story about the bookstore. So the same person who had that book on display, I was building a multicultural shelf in our children's section, and she ended up I was collecting books to add to that shelf, and so one of the books that she contributed was Little Black Sambo, and
Wow.
I blew a gasket.
Wow.
I went off. I was like, what are you trying to say? Like,
Wow.
if you have a problem with me, just say that. But yes, so
And
hopefully
that was East Cobb.
that was an East Cobb.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, yes,
Wow. I
yes.
believe that. I had a friend, a female friend that had moved to East Cobb and bought a house.
We should
And
tell people we're talking about Georgia.
yes, East Cobb, Georgia.
Georgia.
East, we live in Cobb County, and there's East Cobb County. And East Cobb County is like a different place. Completely different. So I'm not saying there's not racism all over Cobb County, but East Cobb is completely different. So
Yeah,
this
they tried
woman
to
I
make their own
knew,
separate city.
yes. So this woman I knew, she had just moved into this house, and I told her, I said, hey, and she had a couple of kids, but they were too young to cut grass and stuff. So I said, hey, you need to find a lawn service and, just look in the neighborhood for another lawn service and ask them whether they would do yours too. She says, okay, fine, I'll do that. Well, before she could hire the lawn service, someone came to their house, left a note on the mailbox that said, cut your grass or go back to where you came from. Totally wasn't necessary. It totally wasn't necessary, but that's how. And someone might say, well, that wasn't racism. Someone might say that. Certainly not me, but someone might say that. If it wasn't racism, the person would leave a note on the box and say, hey, do you need a lawn service? I know of a good one. Here's their number. Or, they're a good neighbor. Do you need some help? But no, cut your grass or go back to where you came from. It wasn't a cross burning, but it was still bad enough. Well, this has been a wonderful show. We are over,
Oh, but I was going
it's
to ask Aaliyah a question about her
you.
painting,
You were
Yeah.
especially since
okay.
Charlie has started calling this painting his almost painting.
His almost bad. It's
Stop.
not your almost painting. It's our almost painting. It's our almost painting. We'll see.
Yeah.
We're going to fight. Really, Charlie, we haven't had an argument yet, but we might have one if you keep this up.
Okay, so Aaliyah, you've been working on the James Baldwin figure in your painting, and you have a picture of him above you or above the painting. So, what in terms of your process? How do you choose what you're going to like? Which James Baldwin? Like, how did you decide which James Baldwin, which Maya Angelou, which Toni Morrison picture you were going to paint?
That's a good question.
That is a good
So
question. It's
I
Jill.
want
What do you expect?
Exactly. So I wanted to first of all get them at an angle where they are looking at the camera or looking in a direction, not directly at the camera, but you see this picture. I don't think you see the other ones, but James Baldwin is the only one who has his eyes directed right at the camera, like he's looking
Mm-hmm.
into your soul. And that one, it just stuck out to me because a lot of James Baldwin pictures are they're just candid. They're just him looking down or looking to the side. But this one is very intentional. Like he's looking at us. He's looking towards the future. He's looking towards the present, what's happening now. That's why I chose that picture. And then you have Maya Angelou who's looking off to the side, and Toni Morrison's also looking off to the side. So this added a nice contrast where he's just directly looking at you as you're looking back at him,
I love
which
it.
is saying something. And
Yeah, it
yes,
is because that's rather reflective of his work and their work. So I love it.
yes, and yes,
I
you
love it
all are
too.
getting the photo. I'm sorry we can't be
Yay! See,
like
Charlie? See,
getting the
see, see,
painting.
see.
Yeah.
You can come visit it though, Charlie, at our house.
He got nothing. He got nothing to
You got
say.
nothing
He's
to
like,
say
I'm
about
out.
that.
I'm out of the running. I'm out. I'm out. Oh, but Aaliyah, thank you so much for this. I would like to ask you. So when it is finished, would you come back to the show for us and
Yes.
tell us about it and um, on how you feel about the finished product, which would
Okay.
be
Yeah.
great. Yeah, yeah,
I would
yeah.
love to do that.
And then maybe some of the people in the audience would like to hire you to paint something, which would be very
Oh,
cool.
commissioner, that would be
Yeah,
great.
yeah. So we get
And
someone
Charlie
who
did
can
say,
commission
"Yeah,
you.
I can't decide what the tone is, but I'm going to read it like, yeah, okay." That was his answer.
All right, all right. Okay, well, I am going to start closing this show out. Thank you so much, Aaliyah, for coming to the show. I think you added something to the show that we've never had here before, and your art has taken the conversation to many different directions tonight, and that's what we need. We need to be able to express these things, especially since there's all of these authors, and this country is trying to take our voices away, take our history away. So just you being here really opened that up uh, for us to discuss this in a good way, in a way where we're not angry, and this show really is all about love. Everyone in the audience, and I always say this, I really do love you all. Denise, I love you. Charlie, I love you. Billy Dees, I love you. Bobby, that just came in the show, I love you too. I love you so much. And I love Tammy knows I love her, and Michael knows I love him.
And Charlie
And
says, "Great show."
thank you. Thank you. Thank you so much. So we're going to close this out. I know I said that like 100 times already, but we are. So again, thank you everyone for being here. I want to thank everyone for being an everyday activist, just for coming to this show, just coming here, because you don't have to. You could be doing something else with your Saturday night. So I'm so happy you're here. I also want to thank my producer, Jill Cox Cordova, right here on Fireside. She keeps me straight, as you all know. But believe it or not, I keep her straight in her show. Can you believe that? That's dangerous. Okay, what you're listening to now is Coral by 29 Palms, and unfortunately, I don't know who did the song I did with my poem. I didn't write it down, so sorry. My bad, my bad. Okay, again, I love you all. Thank you, everyone for coming. Oh, one more thing. My next show is with Really Charlie, because he has written another book, A Poetic Pulse 3. So we're gonna debut that book when he's here, and hopefully he'll do a couple of poems from it, which will be amazing. And check this out. This is a teaser. April 15th, we're going to do this show live from New Orleans. Live from New Orleans. We're going to do this show during the New Orleans Music Festival. It's not the New Orleans Music Festival, Jill?
French Quarter.
French Quarter Music Festival. That's it. And music, all types of music, all of that going on. But we're going to be live, and we're going to do pop-up shows throughout the day. Then we're going to do this show at 9 o'clock Eastern also. So I'm almost out of time. Love you all. Catch you next time. Thank you everyone for coming. Till the next time, we will see you later. Bye.